Hey, so today I wanted to come back and do version 2 of the pitch. I've been working on it for a couple weeks, and it was a really good experience. I finally went online and did my research. I looked up, I watched everything from entrepreneurs pitching businesses to good film pitches, even going on to blogs where they walk through, the structure and all the points you need to hit in a film pitch. I'm not sure why I didn't do that before, but it was really helpful to just kind of break down how to tell the story you know so well in a really timely, efficient way, and to make sure that you hit these pieces that make your movie make sense to somebody who's never heard of it. So what I did was first I wrote down a script. I wrote down exactly what I wanted to say, even though I knew that when I speak, I like to do it extemporaneously, and I like to try and if I memorize something, it comes across that way. And so then I went through and learned different memorization techniques. And in the end, I tried to do a bit of a hybrid. There were certain things I wanted to nail down verbatim, but other things I just tried to remember the themes that I wanted to talk about and address, and I can talk about that and let it happen differently each time. So now I'm going to try and do a pitch to the camera and see if I can nail this down. I've been going through this pitch over and over in the mirror, watching myself, watching my performance, which there's nothing I like to do less. So hopefully that will have helped me so that I can do it here with as few edits as possible. Okay, so let's dive in. So this is a story I've had in my head for a long time. This is a story I've had in my head for a long time, for over a decade since I lived in San Francisco. One of my best friends there was a pre-med student at UC Berkeley at the time in his freshman year of undergraduate studies. But there's a tradition there where the graduate level biochemistry students make LSD in the labs each year. And since he was doing some work with them at the time, he joined in and he brought out a sheet of 100 tabs of perfect acid. And that was the first LSD I ever took. But about a month later, he gave some of the LSD to a friend of his who lived on the third story of his co-op. Later that night, the kid fell out of his window and landed in the bushes outside of my friend's dorm room. If you're interested, my friend made it out okay. He avoided being expelled, I think narrowly, but did end up losing his full scholarship. But he's doing okay now. He turned his life around and is a successful doctor. But the film goes off in a slightly different direction. The story follows Anuj, who's a brilliant biochemistry graduate student by day and a drug-addicted biohacker by night. After the accident, Anuj returns home where he avoids the disappointment of his mother by going to stay with an old friend of his, Maya. Maya is a free soul with a troubled past. She lives in her alcoholic father's garage. And after hearing Anuj's problems, she suggests that she thinks she has a solution for him that will get him back in the good graces of the university and prove his value to them. So she takes him out to a forest where she shows him this strange new psychedelic drug that she learned about from an ex-hippie hermit that lives in the woods, known by the town as Crazy Dave. Anuj thinks this is a terrible idea. He's not going to get back into the good graces of the university by experimenting with a new, unidentified mushroom that has potentially even more powerful psychedelic effects than the drug that got him kicked out of school in the first place. But then Maya takes the drug, and then she disappears. Anuj searches for her everywhere, but then returns to the garage and sets up a clandestine laboratory to start experimenting on the drug to find out what it's doing and where Maya is. But the more he learns about this mushroom, the more he starts to see something sinister in its design. The plot thickens when Maya returns And the two go out into the forest in search of Crazy Dave. They find him dead, covered in fungus. And Maya looks into the back of his head where there's a hole eaten through by fungus. And she finds a mushroom growing from the brain matter in the back of his skull. It's their mushroom, but evolved. Anuj realizes that this is going to kill Maya. So it's a race against time for him to find a cure to save his best friend before it kills her and finds its next host. Anuj wants to save his friend and his own future, but when Maya tells him that she's dosed him with the mushroom, he's forced to choose between the two. The Perfect Drug is a psychedelic thriller that grows in scope not because of what it shows, but because of what it doesn't. The film raises questions that expand its scope far beyond the borders of its micro budget. What are drugs and why do we use them? If we've only discovered the tip of an iceberg, and that by chance, what else is out there waiting to be found? What's possible at the outer limits of our minds? Is reality a constant? Or, like the color spectrum, are we only seeing a slim sliver of what's out there? Are drugs helping our minds see more of this spectrum, or is it all just a big trick, a high-fidelity hallucination? I've lost friends to drugs, and I almost lost myself. The last year I was living in San Francisco, I lived downtown in an area of the Tenderloin called Pill Hill. I was addicted to OxyContin, and my best friend had just started using heroin. I got out. He didn't. This story is being told on repeat every day by dozens of news organizations, podcasts, and by terrified parents. In the age of the opioid epidemic and big pharma, and the renaissance of neon-drenched psychedelic mega parties, what we need isn't another oversimplified sob story. What we need is a story that expands our idea of drugs beyond what we've known in the past. A fable where intimidating ideas take form as monsters and sprites. A world where we can come face to face with the monsters we've been hearing about in a way that excites our sense of dread instead of inciting it. We've been living in a world where drugs have been seen in black and white for far too long. This is a movie that invites the viewer into the gray area between right and wrong, life and death, sanity and madness, to witness a monster made for the modern age. And then I'll say, do you have any questions about the story or something like that? So I think this is a lot better than the last time I tried it. I still need to work on it. It's still feeling a little bit like I'm trying to remember specific lines. And I want to get to a point where I don't feel like I'm doing that, where I'm just having a conversation. And if somebody cuts me off and they're interested to hear more about the story, I can talk to them about that and then jump right back in. And I don't think I'm there yet, but it's definitely feeling like I know how to talk about the film. I'm going to keep working on this, but now I'm excited to get out there and start talking to anybody and everybody about this. And hopefully I can start using this as a template for those conversations and start building on those conversations. It's really nice to get to a place where I'm not worried about having the perfect conversation with the 5 people that can fund this film or help me make this film. I'm excited about having 100 conversations with whoever is interested in listening. So I don't know what I'm going to be talking about next time. The journey feels like it's just starting a new leg, but hopefully I'll give an update soon. Thanks for watching.